Hi guys, my name is Apeksha Rao and I'm the AMPS Author of the Month for October.
My fortress of solitude in these trying times has been a lot of reading. So I've been reading almost one book a day, part of it for pleasure and part of it as research for my writing. So I've been reading thrillers and horror, romance, comedy, a lot of different genres, and of course spy books. And I've also recently discovered the joys of audiobooks. When I'm doing my household chores or when I'm walking or running, audiobooks are my biggest savior. So there's no scope to get bored at all because I'm constantly reading, either listening to stories or reading them. And I'm currently listening to P.G. Woodhouse's Jeeves, the radio drama series, the BBC adaptation of the Jeeves stories. And it is so funny. It really brightens up my day. And I've also been writing. So I recently published a novella on Kindle, the prequel novella to my debut novel. It's called Itsy Bitsy Spider. So I released that in August, and in September my debut novel came out. Along Came a Spider was released. Apart from that, I've been writing a children's book. So there's been a lot of writing going on as well. A lot of people define mental health as the absence of mental disease, and that's not true. So just because you don't have a clinically diagnosed mental illness does not make you mentally healthy. It has to be a fine balance between your social well-being, emotional well-being, and psychological well-being. So when you're able to feel good and you're able to look around you and accept and interpret stimuli and situations normally, and you're able to interact with society at a decent and normal level, then you can call yourself mentally healthy. So if even one of those things is out of gear, you need help. And there's no shame in asking for help. I liken mental health issues to physical health issues. So if you have diabetes or hypertension, wouldn't you go to a doctor for that? So what is the shame in going to a doctor for mental health issues, and why is there stigma connected to that? If you don't ask for help, how will you receive help? And why should anybody judge you on the fact that you are feeling low and you need help to feel better? It is your right as a human being. If anything in your body is not working fine, whether it is at the physical or mental level, you have the right to ask for help, and you have the right to not be judged for it. I'm so glad you asked me that. This is an issue that needs to be addressed. People don't realize that writing has a downside. It's so easy to tell someone who's feeling low, maybe you should write it out. You can express what you're feeling and you feel better. That's not necessarily true. Because writing can drain you out. It's emotionally draining. You're literally bleeding over the page. You're pouring all your emotions into the page. That has an effect on your mind. It tires you out. And not just that, it takes a lot of energy. So your brain consumes a lot of energy when you're writing. So if you don't counter that with adequate amount of food and rest, you're really going to suffer. And this was my personal experience. So there was a time when I was working on the first draft of Along Came a Spider. I was writing about 3,000 to 4,000 words in a day. And at the same time, my son was waking up twice or thrice a night because of cough. And that went on for a couple of months. So I would write from say about 9 o'clock to 1:30, and I'd go to bed and keep getting up because my son needed attention. And imagine not having a full night's sleep for months. Imagine what that can do to you. I was like a zombie. I had no energy. I was feeling low all the time, and I didn't know why, because it wasn't like there was any major stress in my life. So I just couldn't pinpoint why I was feeling so low, and that obviously affects your interaction with everyone. So I was short on patience with my kids and my family, until I decided to figure out what was happening. That's when I realized that in addition to the sleep deprivation that was keeping me up, I was also writing so much that my brain was exhausted. So I took steps to counter that. First of all, my husband and I started taking turns waking up to deal with the child, and I made sure that I was getting adequate sleep, at least 4 to 5 hours of continuous sleep. That helps. That's a big help, because a lot of people might be in a situation where they want to write, but there are things that things like this, especially for women who are dealing with small children, it's not always easy. So these are the things you can keep in mind. Even 4 to 5 hours of continuous sleep helps a lot. And make sure you eat. So when I'm writing continuously, I eat every 2 to 3 hours. And I have a decent amount of sugar. So before I sit down to write, I have a couple of pieces of chocolate or a sweet. So I know that I have that bit of sugar that can carry me through the night. Through whatever part of the night that I'm writing. Now I don't sit up till 1:30. I've learned my lesson. So I keep a limit of about 1500 words a night. Not more than that. Any more than that is very, very exhausting. So like Ernest Hemingway said, you shouldn't drain the pot. You should write as much as you can and make sure you have enough for tomorrow. So if you drain the pot completely, when you sit down to write the next day, you don't know where to start. So you have some ideas left for the next day. That's the best way to write. Oh, mothering twins and writing are both very demanding roles, I have to admit. And sometimes it's very difficult to balance. Obviously, my first priority is raising my kids. So sometimes writing does take a back seat. Like for the past almost a month or so, I've not been able to write as much as I would want to. But that's okay. That's part of the game. And I know that when my kids grow up, I'll be able to write a lot more. And so I compartmentalize my day. So the day goes to taking care of the kids and their needs. When I'm doing that, I can manage social media posts. So my Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, I can do all of that, engage and post and reply, all of that in the day, because that doesn't take a lot of attention. So I can manage that, and sometimes I do manage to fit in a blog or two in the day. Serious writing happens at night after my kids go to bed. I can't get into the mental zone to write when they're playing, and they need so much attention. And with twins, 2 kids of the same age means they have no concept of hurting the brother, or they still haven't realized that they can hurt each other. So I'm playing referee all the time. My whole day goes in that. So writing happens at night. I mentioned this earlier as well. There shouldn't be any stigma to visiting a mental health professional. It is your basic human right. You deserve care. So, like you wouldn't shy away from visiting a doctor if you had diabetes or hypertension, or even if you have the fever, why should you feel ashamed about visiting a doctor because you're feeling low? You have every right to do it. And we don't have a right to judge someone on how they're feeling based on our prejudices. Just because I'm a cheerful person and I don't feel low does not mean I look down on someone who's feeling low. Everybody's on their own journey, and they have their own problems, and we have to be respectful towards that. So if a friend of yours is feeling low, it is your duty to suggest that person visit a doctor, get help, and do everything to be supportive about it, rather than judge and tell him, just get over it. That's not how it works. You can't get over mental illness. It has to be treated. The most fascinating thing about my mind, I think, is how twisted it is. So, I initially started writing out very cheerful stories, but then there were these, layered stories with a dark aspect to them that started coming out, and my family would be surprised at times. I remember my father being very worried about it. He asked my mother to speak to me about it, saying she's writing too many morbid stories. They all end in misery and death, and ask her to be more cheerful. But that's how my mind is. I like writing such stories, and they're appreciated. People like reading them, and that gives me joy. So, my mind is twisted and it's weird, but I'm happy with it. So guys, I'm looking forward to reading your submissions, and I love the theme, I have to say. It's really interesting. So what I'm looking for in your stories is innovation. Yeah, I know there are no original stories left anymore. They've all been told. But give your own creative kick to the story. Give it a twist that has not been done before. And fill it with whatever you're feeling. Joy, cheerfulness, and even if you're feeling low, fill up your story with that. And make it speak. Because your voice needs to be very strong. The narrative of the story needs to be strong. You don't need to have a very complicated plot. It could be a simple story told very nicely. That's what I'm looking for. It's a pleasure to talk to you. And I must say that Team AMP is doing a great job tackling mental health with the help of art.